pressed it now. Yeah? You pressed it now? Yeah, have you pressed it now? Awesome! Ah, Insta of old. Excellent. You go wherever you like, love.
So this would be the space. Yeah, you basically get a big old back window.
You do. Morning, everybody. Welcome to Rise Urban Yoga.
Wash your feet.
I've washed my feet. Rise Urban Yoga. Or in this case, Pilates. We're going to be doing Pilates this morning. I've had a little mix up with the classes on purpose. So I'm going to be doing some more Pilates. That's going to be at Wednesday, 7:30 a.m. slot. And Rosie, because she's missing her flex classes, she's going to be doing flex on a Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. slot. Oh, Chris is revealing some of the new merch. He's got his Rise Yoga Star Wars themed t-shirt on. As you can see in the background. I myself am sporting some leggings this morning. Okay, we've got 13 seconds before class starts, so let's come on down. We're going to start off on our backs today in reclined butterfly. Morning, everybody, or evening, or afternoon, wherever it is that you're practicing. You might be watching this on replay. Hiya down there. Got Chris in the corner. He's been naughty, so I sent him to the corner. We're going to start off on our backs today for this Pilates session. So come on down, bring the soles of the feet together, let the hips shuffle towards the heels as much as you find comfortable, and releasing the spine down nice and long. So the spine is one of our main priorities in our Pilates session today. We're looking for good spinal alignment and health, and we're also aiming to tighten up all those supportive muscles around our spine. So if you've never done a Pilates session before, it's all about these core muscles, namely the glutes, the abdominals, and particularly the lower back space. It's also about bringing balance to the force. I'm just saying that because he's got his Star Wars t-shirt on. But it is about bringing balance to both sides of the body. And you might have noticed in the body that you have some differences between each of the sides in terms of your flexibility, which is something else we'll work on. But in terms of the joints and composition and how they're all interlinked, you could have had an injury at some point which has caused an imbalance. So aiming through our Pilates sessions to focus on increasing flexibility, increasing strength, and also finding that balance to both sides of the body. With that in mind, as you're here in your reclined butterfly, I just want you to have a little think about your hips and your shoulders, those two main areas that are planted down on the ground right now. Do you feel like you're leaning to one side? Do you feel that your body weight is even? Do you feel matched between the left and right sides of the body? And then starting to link our breath with this pose. So as you breathe in through the nose, fill up the lungs, feel the ribcage expand, and then release that breath. So whether it's yoga, whether it's Pilates, we're always trying to link the movements with the breath. Finding a release with the breath here in our reclined cobbler's pose or bound angle or butterfly, whatever you want to call it. You can have the arms out to the side. If you want to take them up above the head, you can do. So with our Pilates class today, we're going to move through sequences of movements. We're going to start off on our backs for a few moves, then we're going to move into a prone position, which means chest facing down, or a bit of standing work, and then back onto the backs again. So keeping you on your toes throughout, getting you thinking about what your body is doing in each pose, in each move, and making sure that we have that real concentration about our movements, that specific alignment and those tiny little precision movements, which is where the good stuff happens. So I'll be giving you lots of reminders throughout the class. I'll also be giving you lots of options for taking the move a little bit easier and then progressing it a little bit further if you're feeling it today. So as ever with all of our classes, I encourage you to take this at your own level. Find something which is working for you today and rock it from there. Okay, taking the hands to the knees, let's draw the knees in together. And most importantly, I want you to plant that lower portion of your back, your lumbar spine, down into the floor. So press on hard, take the hands to the knees, and let's take a couple of small hip circles from here. So drawing the knees round in circles about the size of side plates, and just testing how you're feeling in the lower back and in the abdominal region. So change direction with the legs. Again, if you want to start making the circles a little bit deeper at this point, notice whether you think the knees are making the circles the same size or whether you're feeling like you're rolling over to one side. So focus on that for a second. I've lost which direction I'm going with the knees. Feel free to switch it up. So this is starting to engage the abs and engage those all-important lower back muscles. Also a nice option to work into the hips a little bit in terms of its flexibility, or their flexibility, should I say. Well done. So planting the lower back down onto the floor. Let's just take a happy baby. So peace sign fingers around the big toes. Take the soles of the feet to the ceiling. Inhale. And exhale, just draw the knees down. So giving yourself a chance to rock and roll from side to side here. Again, keeping the abs in check. Stop you rolling all the way over one side. And then you look like a beetle on its back, all stuck in one position. So keeping the chin and the chest quite close on this one, so you find that length to the spine. So lots of lovely length throughout the spine in most of the poses that we'll do today. Okay, come back through center and just take the feet down to the floor. We're going to rock and roll up in a dynamic bridge. So not going to worry about precise movements on this one. I just want you to find that fluidity through the spine. Think about a wave-like motion. So squeezing the glutes, squeezing the abs. Inhale, float up. So it doesn't matter how slow we go on this. All the way up. Bringing the chest towards the chin and then releasing all the way down. The most important thing here is that we take that squeeze through the belly. So if you imagine your full 100% abs of iron squeeze, I want to slacken off that belt a little bit to about 30%, and that's where we're going to rock out our class today, with that 30% squeeze. So releasing up and down. Awesome. Just taking one more little release down to the floor. From there. Awesome. Bring the knees in. Give yourself a little rock and roll from side to side. And let's start with some leg extension. So bring the knees above the hips. Again, replant that lower back onto the floor. Now, level one, we're just going to keep the hands down by the side. What we're going to do is we're going to extend the right toes towards the front of your mat. And then we're going to draw the knee back in. And take the same on our second side. So it's a single leg extension. So I'm not expecting you to rock out doubles straight away or anything like that. I want you to work into that single leg variation just to warm up nice and gently. So bring the knees always back over the hips if you can. If you find that extending the leg fully is too much, don't go as far, just keep it to a nice bent knee position. So working at that level which you feel comfortable with when you don't get that lift off the floor with the lumbar spine. So if you want to notch it up a little bit, you can take the arms off the floor and lift the shoulders, okay? So bringing the gaze sort of between the legs and continue that single leg lower. So taking the movements nice and slow. Think about lowering down for a certain count, maybe 3, 4, and then lifting for a certain count, 3, 4. And the thing about Pilates is the slower you go and the more precise the movements are, the more you're going to feel this and the more benefit that you're going to get. So if you want to take this a little bit further still, the option would be to engage the arms a little bit more and the upper abdominals and take the arms out above the head. So you can feel the extra challenge level if you give this a try. And don't worry if you feel like you want to take a couple here and then take it back down to level 2 or even down to that initial first stage. So finding that workout that's going to benefit you the most. How's Chrissy doing in the corner? Chrissy's not doing as I've said, he's doing double legs, he's a naughty boy. Okay, going to take another 5 from here. When you've got the Star Wars t-shirt on, you're saying you have to go hard. Go hard or go home, Chrissy. And releasing for another 3. 2, we've got a nice slow twisted crunch going up. Just to fire up these abs a bit more. Final time. Lower. And lift. Good stuff. All right. You can drop the back of the head down towards the ground. I'm going to say drop. I mean gently lower, not give yourself concussion. We're going to take the fingertips to the temples. And we're going to keep the arms out nice and wide here. Bring those knees back over the hips. And this time, we're going to take that leg extension. But as we do, we're going to twist the opposite elbow to that bent knee. So trying to keep the chest nice and open here. And again, you can take the leg less extended, the more parallel you bring that extended leg to the floor, the more challenge you're going to find on the lower abdominals. And the key thing here is to think about as much rotation through the spine as you can. So as you keep the shoulders hovering above the earth, sounds very grand, that, hovering above the earth, like some sort of spacecraft. But as we hover the shoulders, try not to release the shoulders all the way back down, if you possibly can, keeping them lifted. Well done. So really find that long stretch out. I can hear Chrissy going, ooh, ah. He went early with those double legs. He's regretting those now. I'm going to cause him some pain here. No, I'm joking. The point of this class is not to cause yourself too much pain. This is, in fact, to stop yourself having much pain in terms of injuries. Pilates is fantastic. Yeah, Chris had a really bad back for a long time and tried all sorts, but Pilates is his cure, and he is pain-free. Okay, we're going to take another 5. You've got this, folks. Feel free to rest at any point. Just ignore me and my leopard print leggings whenever you like. 3, 2, well done, doing a fab job. And 1. And Chrissy's down. Just give yourself a little stretch out from here. My upper abs are absolutely on fire. So stretching the fingertips away from the toes, point the toes, really feel that lovely extension through the abdominals. Okay, so it is quite intense, this session, but you can make it a little bit easier if you need to by resting at any point. Okay, the next move we're going to take is going to be another variation of leg extension. So bring the arms down by the side to start off. Take the legs, or the knees, in fact, above the hips. And this time, instead of taking your leg out to extend, what we're going to do is take the legs up and lower from the hip. Okay, so it's that straight leg lower. And again, if you don't feel that you can come too far, just bring it to about 45 degrees. Okay, so we're pressing down with the lower part of the back into the floor. That really works into the abdominals. If you want to feel that, you can take the hands onto the belly, and you can feel that firing up there. So don't rush this, go really slowly. Shoulders can be lovely and heavy and planted down, really focusing on that length through the spine. But if you do want to ramp it up a little bit, let's get that lift up of the shoulders. So bringing the feet up into the air, then lifting the shoulders, reaching with the fingertips, arms are straight towards the front edge of your mat, starting to lower from there. Again, single legs, coming down to wherever feels comfortable with that extended leg. If you do want to take this and make it a little bit harder, try taking the arms out behind the head. Just make sure the shoulders aren't ruffling up next to the ears. And continue with that leg lower. So we are overloading the abs. Okay, we will be moving from on our backs shortly, so don't worry. I'm going to give you a nice release and a spinal twist soon. So nice long legs. Think about that long spine, especially if you've got the arms above the head. Think about length. Think about slowing the movement down even more if that's at all possible for you. We don't want to lose form. If you feel like you're losing form, drop it back down a level or have a rest. Here we go. We're going to go for another 5. 4. Really nice. Good job. 3. 2. Final 1. Don't rush it. Always make the last one your best one. Fantastic. Release the shoulders down. Hug the knees in. Give yourself a little squeeze. Maybe have a little rock from side to side. Maybe even lift the chin up and bring the forehead towards the knees. Really nice work. Let's stretch that out in a spinal twist. Taking your left leg long. Replant the hips. Relax and release the shoulders and then draw the right knee in. So you can give your hip flexor a little squeeze here by drawing the knee in nice and close to the chest. Trying to find that broadness across the shoulders and that opening of the chest. And then taking the left hand onto the right knee. Take the right arm out wide, inhale. And slowly on the exhale, start to move the right knee across the body. And it might be that your knee stays quite high. Mine's staying quite high, otherwise I'm going to crush the microphone. You might even want to gaze over towards the right hand side. Hello, in the corner.
Hello.
So just letting the knee work with gravity on this one. Shoulders are heavy, but that knee can travel down a little bit further if needs be. And you can point the toes, you can flex the feet on the base leg, on that extended leg if that feels funky this morning. All right, well done. Inhale, little squeeze of the abs, come back through centre. The abs are like, no more squeezing. Well, we've not finished with them yet. Okay, take the right leg long, readjust the hips if you need to. Draw the left knee in, extend away with that right leg. Just give that left hip flexor a little bit of love. Deep breath in and out. This is also in yoga wind relieving pose, so go steady, be careful. Inhale. And exhale. All right, take the right hand onto the left knee, left arm comes out wide, inhale, and rolling over, just enjoying that lovely stretch. On the other side, you can take the gaze over towards the left. I've got a beautiful view of Sheffield this morning. It finally looks like it's stopped raining. Deep breath. It's looking ever so green out there. It's really nice. For 3, 2, and 1. Good. Inhale, come back through centre. All right, so when we get to centre, draw the knees in above the hips, replant that lower back down onto the floor. I want you to take both legs into the air here. So try and keep them above the hips. I always have the temptation of bringing them back towards the back end of the mat. And I want you to try and keep them above the hips. We're going to take a nice strong reach up. So I want you to think about that sequential squeeze of the abs. Take the fingertips towards the ceiling. And then start to roll up. So lifting the shoulders off the mat on the inhale. Keep the gaze up and try and keep a gap between the chin and the chest on this one. So lifting up, reaching up, finding that squeeze of the upper abs. Again, try and think about taking the toes towards the ceiling, fingers towards the ceiling, taking that squeeze and reach. And if you want to take it up a level, have a little pulse at the very top of this movement. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there. Hold.
He's on my way down.
He was on his way back down. Hold a little bit more. Really well done. So by pressing that lower back into the floor, we find that full engagement through the abs. Keeping our core nice and strong so that you don't pull something as you're reaching up to put a tin of beans on the shelf. Keeping that functional strength nice and high. We're ready for another 10 pulses, Chrissy? Come on, you can do this. Have a rest if you need, folks. Let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Coming into table pose next. 3, 2, 1. Release all the way down. Give yourself a hug. Give yourself a little pat on the back. Well done, me. Well done, you. Well done, everyone. Okay, we're going to work our way up to table pose so you can rock onto your side. I'm going to rock and roll up and over, crossing the legs and just bringing the knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. And from here, just working into what we call a rainbow leg. So set your table up, first of all, nice and strong. Pointer finger facing forwards. Hands are shoulder width apart, knees underneath the hips. Now we're going to take a leg extension from here. So see how that feels. That might be enough for you. Okay, taking the right leg out behind you, looking to keep it in line with the rest of the spine. So what we don't want to do is start to lift the gaze and let the lower back arch. We want to keep the abs firmly squeezed, as I said, about 30%. And again, because you've got one leg lifted, you've got the temptation to take it the weight over towards the left. Try and keep the hips square off to the floor, so even in, and then one's not lifting up. Okay, now if you're taking that rainbow, I'm going to take the right toe over towards the left side of the mat and just tap down. And then we're going to inhale, squeezing the glutes, really firing up the bottom and the buttock muscles now, and tap down on the right. So imagine drawing that arch with your big toe. Now I don't want you to rush this one. As ever, it's the small precision movements. Okay, so we're not just casting a leg backwards and forwards, okay? Keep the hips nice and still here. Really firing up the glutes. If you want to make the arches a little bit smaller, that's fine. So that's one way of differentiating. Slowing it down even more is another way to make it harder. If this feels like too much, what you could do is just keep the leg lifted, or you could take a toe tap behind and then a squeeze and lift, okay? So any variation, mix it up if you like, but keep that gaze down and the spine long. For another 5, I'm going to swap sides in a sec. 4, 3, awesome, 2, 1, fantastic. Bring that right knee back underneath the right hip and straight into the left side. Extend away with the left toe this time. Nice big toe extension away. Really switching on the leg muscles here as well. So make sure we're not rolling onto the right side and lifting the left hip. Keep yourself nice and central. Abs at 30%. Let's go. Left toe taps down if you're taking these rainbow arches. Otherwise, just try and keep that leg lifted. Maybe taking toe taps directly behind the body, as I'm showing you now. Or if you're going for that rainbow, rock that rainbow. Toe tap one side, keeping that rigidity through the rest of the body. So the thing about Pilates is we're trying to isolate certain muscle groups and only work those areas. And everywhere else would be pretty much relaxed, which is where the game begins. A lot of people, when they find exercise is hard, starts to contract certain muscle groups. You might find that you are clenching your teeth or really sort of making the jaw a nice strong position by squeezing the teeth together. Similarly, in some poses, you might feel that you're squeezing onto the leg muscles where they don't need to be squeezed. So always having a chance to scan through the body. Okay, let's take another 3, 2. It's nice. It's nice to have such lovely music. If you've not got the music on, you can find the accompanying music on our website. If you go to the class online, you'll be able to see the link to Spotify there. Okay, good stuff. Bring that left knee back down. Oh, yes, my fave, plank time. So again, you shouldn't have to move the hands. They should be underneath the shoulders. If you would prefer to take a kneeling plank, just shuffle the knees back. But then all importantly, you want to take the weight forward. So you're taking the shoulders over the wrists. Okay, so kneeling plank would be level 1. We're going to take level 2, which is tucking the toes and pressing the heels away. Now, you want to make sure that the heels are over the toes. So if you find that you're taking the heels a bit further back, it's a nice stretch through the legs, but you're not getting as much activity through the upper body. So we're just going to static hold our plank here. Keep the gaze down towards the floor for 5. Then we're going to start a little walk back. 4. So planking is a fantastic exercise for full body activation, great for boosting your metabolism. And you might start to shake a bit, that's good, that's just muscle recruitment happening there. So keep squeezing glutes, keep squeezing abs, make sure the quads are switched on. Fabulous. Okay, we're ready. We're going to start to move the hands back as we lift the hips. So the hips come high and the hands are going to walk back slowly. I always like to think about placing my hands in the sand. And when I walk forwards again, I'm going to replace my hands back in that same sandy position, okay? So we're now walked back into a forward fold. Give yourself a little rest here. Let the head dangle down. And just enjoy that lovely stretch out into the back of the legs. If you need to soften the knees for your forward fold, rock it. That's fine. If you want to have a little sway round in your forward fold. So one way to make this exercise easier is to spend more time here at the back of the mat in that forward fold. But if you want to continue with those walkouts, hands back in the handprints that we made earlier. A lot of people here are going to move around through the hips. We're trying to not do that. So squeeze in through the core and try and find that nice long plank shape once more. Bring the hips down in line with the shoulders and then start your journey back once more. Or you can stay at the top of the movement in the plank. If you're feeling really funky, you can take a little press. Make sure it's nice and slow. Make sure it's controlled. Okay, so as you walk out, as you get to your full plank position, you might want to tuck those elbows in and just take a nice slow lower. And a lift just to fire up a little bit more. I'm going to make this our last one. We've still got a fair amount to get through in this session. This is a nice stretch out in the legs. So as you come forwards from here, we are going to take chair pose. So I want you to walk the feet forwards this time. So bringing the feet towards the hands and taking the feet 2 hip distance apart. A lot of people think their hips are narrower than they are, so maybe just go a little bit wider from here. Are you ready? This is what I like to call the kangaroo. We bend the knees and we lift the arms out in front. Okay, so this is chair pose, but with the arms out. Okay, so we get that lovely lift of the arms and that engagement through the upper back in order for that to happen. Now what's going on in the lower body, we want to try and stack the knees over the ankles so that we can see the toes, so the weight comes back through the heels. That's not to say that the toes can't be planted, we just want the weight coming back through the sit bones. So you'll get a lot of people doing this. This is also a really good exercise for toning the thighs. If you wanted to pop a block or something between the legs to squeeze onto, that's a nice way of really activating the inner thighs. So engaging the belly once more, engaging the lower back. Remember that core bracket that we want to be working into, and just making sure the shoulders are heading down towards the base of the spine. So letting the gaze come out long. Inhale and exhale. Come down a little bit deeper. So we're working into the legs now in this next section. We're going to take a forearm plank, and then we're going to come back into the legs into the squatted chair pose with a slight kick out just for fun. All right, let's hold here. Can we go a bit deeper? Are those abs firing up? Glutes should be working hard here. And those leg muscles. Awesome. Hold it there for another 3. Doing really well. 2. And 1 more. Release the arms. Inhale, rise up, release the legs. Okay, we're not for long though. We've got a single-legged squat, and then we're going to work into our roll down and forearm plank. So with a single squat, we are coming down, so you can take the arms up or hands to heart center, whatever feels right for you to start off with. So sinking back down into our squat. You can keep the feet at hip distance, or you might want to take them a little bit wider. It depends what you find is most comfortable. I'm going for hip distance. Okay, so inhale to lift up the arms, weight into the heels as before in our chair. Exhale, down we come. So we're going to squat, nice and slow. Inhale to lift. Now without leaning to the left, we're going to lift up that right leg. So the leg is extended. It's not with a bent knee, it's extended. And it's difficult because you already want to lean over to the left-hand side. Oops, she says. Okay, so come back down. Squeeze the hips to the floor. Keeping the knees from wobbling as much as you can. Lift up tall. Extend the left leg. So we're abducting that left leg away from the midline. Lower. Knees under hips. Fabulous. Inhale, rise up. Don't lean. Engage those core muscles, particularly down the side body now. Lower. Well done. We're going to take another, 3 on each side. So I always like to flex my feet on this one, so it really works into the quads as I'm extending the leg away from the midline of the body. Lower. Inhale, lift. Again, try to take it a little bit slower if you can. That will make it all the more challenging. If you find that your shoulders are getting tired, you can always bring the hands down to heart center. Or you could just suck it up. Can't remember which side I'm on now. Well done. So thinking about length through the body, spine long. Well done. Let's take 1 more each side. Doing an awesome job. Don't rush it. Remember what I said. Make the last one your best one. Don't just want to try and get it done as soon as possible. Fabulous. Last time. And then you'll be pleased to know we're going to take a little roll down. All the way down onto the floor. Well done. So bring the right foot back underneath the right hip. Release the arms. Give them a shake out if you need to. And let's go. Chin comes onto chest. Inhale. And as you exhale, start to release your toes down. No, don't release your toes. Release your fingers down to your toes is what I was going to say. So keep that belly squeezed. Maybe close the eyes. Enjoy this journey as you head down. Finding space in the back of the legs and in the lower back. And then taking the hands down to the floor, and if that means bending the knees a lot, then that's fine. Taking the hands down, and then taking a big step back with one foot and then the other. We're going to take a forearm plank now. So rock down onto the forearms, and you can take the hands into a little basket if you like, or you can take the forearms down. So A lot of people here pike up through the hips. We want to get the hips nice and low. Okay, if you're not sure whether your hips are nice and low, just video yourself doing this exercise and you can see whether they are or not. It's always good to review and just see. Okay, so we're going to take a little arch through the hips, taking the left hip down. So we're rolling over the toes from left to right as we keep the upper body quite still. So working into the obliques here as we twist the torso. Keep the gaze down. So we don't want to open up to the side with the chest. We want to just work through the waistline here and that core corset. Well done. If you need to do this from the knees, that is another option. So squeezing there and just rolling one hip down and the other hip down. Well done. So a nice smooth arc through the hips for another 5, 4, 3, 2, well done, and 1. Brilliant. Bring the knees down, come back through centre, press back with the hips, walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. Okay, panther pose. It's a tabletop to start off with, and then from there we're going to tuck the toes and we're going to hover the knees just maybe 1 inch above the ground, okay? And I know the men do this for an inch. That's not an inch, okay? You find an inch. All right, so taking the knees and just hovering above the ground. So you're taking lots of weight through the shoulders, so make sure the hands are underneath the shoulders there. Having the knees just an inch off the ground really fires up the quads. So it's a great way of stabilising the lower body by building up some quad strength and glute strength. Well done. Hold there. You've got this for another 5. If you want to make it a bit more challenging, you can have a little rock backwards and forwards. 4. I am going to give you a shoulder stretch next. 3. Good. 2. And 1. Well done. Release the knees down. Open up with the right arm to the sky. On the inhale, as you exhale, feed the right hand behind the left wrist, snuggling down onto the right shoulder, maybe extending the left arm out in front as we thread our needle pose. So interspersing our hard work with some nice stretches here. Again, gaining flexibility. And just allowing us to reset all those muscles we've been loading here. So try and just relax the whole way through the body on this one. And then when you're ready, sliding the left hand underneath the left shoulder, inhaling your way back to centre and taking the same on the left side. So inhale, rise up with the left arm. So getting that nice rotation through the torso, which is fab for digestion and giving your kidneys and your liver a good massage, keeping them functioning well as well. So they're good for detoxification. If you've hit the wine hard during lockdown. Full breath. Chris is chunnering in the corner. He's very proud, as am I. He's 2 years and he's not drunk a drop. Okay, 1 more breath. Slide the right hand back underneath the right shoulder and back to tabletop from there. All right, what are we doing? You put me off then. All right, Sphinx pose. Walk the knees back and keeping the hands where they are. Take the weight forward. So in this kneeling press position, we're going to lower all the way down and release the forearms onto the floor. Now, with Sphinx pose, ideally you want the elbows underneath the shoulders. That's not comfortable for everyone, so you can always move them forwards a little bit more. And the idea is that we're creating some space in the front body and just building up a little bit of strength in the lower back and the glutes. So gaze is down, back and neck's nice and long. We inhale, and we start to imagine that space creating through the abdominals and through the chest. Try to release the shoulders down the back, working into the glutes here. Try not to compress the lower back. So don't take this too hard. It's meant to be a nice release. Perfect. Releasing the shoulders away from the ears. Okay, let's take a double leg forward fold, working it into the hammies and lower back, releasing the forehead down. Press the hands underneath the shoulders and just make your way through table, dropping the sit bones to the floor and extending both legs out in front. Now, you might want to use a strap for this. If you've got a strap or a towel and you feel like you need to make your arms a bit longer, then you can. Otherwise, just take lots of knee bends. There's no prizes for having straight legs here. What do you think about hinging from the hips? This is where you're going to lift up and then fold from. And if you can, press the heels down into the ground so you get a real connection through the backs of the legs. Inhale up with the arms, shoulders moving down the back, and then reaching for length. Finding space and lengthening out. So you want to try and keep a nice broad set of shoulders on us, so we're not hunching and rounding just to start off with. I want you to feel that into the lower back. Well done. Allowing the chest to melt towards the toes. Each exhale, you might find a little bit more room becomes available using that breath. And then eventually, you might then release the head down, really softening down into your forward fold. Just taking 3 lovely breaths here. So I'm going to take some ab work next. We're going to be working into teaser pose, which is like boat that we do in yoga. So teaser, and in a minute we've got a little bit of twisted teaser coming up as well. Okay, so the thing about teaser, roll up when you're ready. We're going to find the sit bones so they feel balanced on the ground, and then we're going to start to draw the knees in towards the chest. So this position here might feel like enough of a workout for your abdominals. If you're recovering from something and you've damaged yourself, or maybe you've just had a baby, you don't want to be taking the feet off the ground just yet. So if you can, stay here. If you're happy to, then you can start to take the hands behind the back of the legs. That'll give you extra support, but you can still find a bit more challenge there. So we're lifting up through the chest and finding length through the upper body. At the same time, we want to think about maybe lengthening out through the lower body if you do want that extra challenge. So you can start by extending the legs a little bit. You can always move the hands. You could take them around the calves or around the big toes. So you're finding this fold from your hips in your teaser pose. Now, to make it harder still, you can let go of the legs altogether. And it might be to do that, you want to come back to this position. So fingers are facing towards the front, and that might feel like a really tough challenge. Okay, think about lifting up through the chest and leading with the crown of the head. And it doesn't matter if you teaser tips, doesn't matter. Hold in there, well done. Maybe taking the arms above the head if you want more challenge. Just make sure the shoulders stay released down the back. And again, you can straighten the legs here as well if you would like to. Let's hold it there for 5. Single leg forward fold coming up next, so a bit of a relief into the lower back. 4, 3, maybe a little scissor leg. 2, and 1. Awesome. Throw that left leg out. Draw the sole of the right foot into the left inner thigh. So if you've got that at 45 degrees, I want you to turn the torso so it's extending towards that left leg. Inhale, rise up with the arms, and exhale. Just as with the double variation that we did a second ago, we're making sure that the chest is facing the toes, keeping the spine as long as you can, finding that length, bending that left knee, so not locking the left knee out if you need to. Just finding your variation of this forward fold. A nice, relaxing, fatigue-busting, anxiety-busting pose as a bit of a break before we take this twisted teaser, which is coming next. Deep breaths. Okay, good stuff. Inhale, roll up. Throw out the right leg. Bring in the left. Inhale. Turn to face those right toes for me. Exhale, lengthen it out. And again, you can take a bind around the leg, or you can have your hands flat on the floor around the foot. Whatever you find is a nice release there. So keep a broadness across the shoulders. Keep that belly squeezed and lengthen. for 5. Not going to stay here for too long. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Inhale, ripple up, roll up. And let's find that teaser pose. Now I'm going to suggest that you start with the hands next to the butt on this one. And we're going to take the feet to this bent knee position. Okay, now twisted teaser, this variation at least, we're going to take a toe tap. So we're going to take both sets of toes over towards the left and then come back through center and then over towards the right. Now this can be quite a challenge as it is. Remember, we don't want to make this a speedy movement. And you can take the legs a little bit longer, will make it more challenging. So extending through the knee joints. Or what you could do is take the hands off the floor entirely. I found the coordination of this one quite tough. I find it more grounding if we take the hands down. So you can just take that longer lever leg, if that works for you, for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back through center. Well done. Let's roll down onto our backs and let's work into a little hug in just to relieve the lower back. Have a little rock from side to side. Still got a few more moves left before the end of class. Don't worry if the gong goes, if you're listening to the music. Lots of video in the classes. We don't want to take too long in Shavasana, so we're just going to keep working through past the gong. If it goes, don't worry. So from here, we are going to take a pigeon bridge. So plant down with the left foot, take the right foot onto the right thigh. Now, because you're taking one foot off the floor with your bridge, it's going to destabilize you. So you're going to have to focus really hard to not move around too much. So to start off with, take the hands down long by the side body. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to inhale and we're going to slowly float the hips away from the floor. You can keep this top knee drawing down towards the earth as you roll up the spine, bringing the chest all the way up to the chin if you can, and the hips up to the sky. And then we exhale to come down. And we're going to make our descent just as slow and controlled as the lift up, the ascents. So make sure as you come down, you can feel each individual vertebra touching base, and the same as you lift. That's how controlled it needs to be. So one vertebra at a time. Close the eyes on this one. Really feel your way into this movement. Remember, the slower the better. So on that lift up, we're strengthening our lower back. We're strengthening our glute muscles. And then as we lower, it's the abs which help us to come down through this movement. So even more ab work there. This is why we use all these muscles as our focus in Pilates, because they're so integral to everything else that we do in terms of movement in our lives. And if something goes wrong with one of these areas, it can put you into a real pickle. Okay, as you come down this time, plant the lower part of the back and then just swap over, bringing the right foot down, taking the left leg onto the right thigh. Shuffle around with the heel if you need to. You might want to bring it a little bit closer. And again, resist that urge to wobble around if possible. Flex that top foot and off we go. Inhale. So you get a nice opening through the front of the hips, as well as that strengthening work which you just talked about. So it might be that you want to take the arms above the head. That's always a nice way to lift and lower. So as you have your hands down by the center, as you lift up with the hips, you can lift up with the arms, taking them above the head. And exhaling, coming on down. Again, one backbone at a time. We've still got that 30% squeeze. I hope so. Just going to take one more. Just going to shuffle that foot away a bit more. That's it. Ooh, that's made it a little bit less stable for me, which is good. And releasing on down from there. Well done, fabulous guys. All right, bring the knees into the chest. I just want you to take the feet down onto the ground after you've had a little hug in. I'm just going to windscreen wipe the legs. So inhale. Exhale, drop both knees over towards the right hand side. Keep the left shoulder planted down, and then as you breathe back in, squeeze into the tummy. As you come back through center, exhaling over to the left. Right shoulder stays firmly down on the ground. Inhale, come back to center. So windscreen wiping the legs one way, and then one final time over towards the left. And then we're going to round off our session today with our beautiful Rise 100. So if you've not had the pleasure, enjoy this. We're going to connect the lower back to the floor. So really squeeze onto the abs. Now you've got options. Hands can stay down by the side body. We can take the knees over the hips. That's your most stable position. If it's possible, we're going to lift the shoulders off the floor and extend the arms towards the front. If it's further possible, you can extend both legs. You might even come down to bring the legs parallel to the floor. So you're taking that full activation of the front body, and we're starting to move the arms up and down. Chris has already started. He's laughing. All right, I'll start counting now. We're going up to 100. We're going to start with 1. 2. No, I'm joking. 10. 20, 30, 40, 50, you can always come back to bent knee if you need to, and then maybe extend out again, 60, 70, 80, 90, amazing job today guys, really well done, 50, 40, 30, 20, and a 10. Woohoo! Relax. Conk out on your mat. Let all of the muscles go. In fact, let's take the arms and legs into the air. Give them a good old wiggle out. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. There we go. And then flop down to the floor. Taking any comfortable position for your Shavasana. If there's any other poses that you would like to release, you might want to take another spinal twist or another bridge or happy baby. Anything you like. Just enjoy being still, releasing that 30% engagement through the belly. And I would encourage you to stay here in Shavasana as long as your day will allow, which could be all day if it's locked down and you can't get to work and it's raining outside. This might be you for the day. Shavasana, all in.
Still a great day.
Still a great day. You've done Pilates, you've smashed it. I'm going to move up to seated to finish off the class, but if you want to stay here, go ahead. So finishing off just in a nice comfortable seated pose, spine stacked, really great for calming the nervous system. Releasing, oh hello.
On the magic mat.
Okay, releasing the arms up, watching not to punch the husband in the face on the inhale. And then releasing the exhale, hands down through heart center. Fantastic, well done everyone. Namaste. Enjoy. See you soon.
Do Pilates for the rest of your life. It will be much better.
Well done, guys. Well done, Insta team.